Dear students, peace be upon you. Welcome to the English department. In this lecture, we are going to explain the relative clause. First of all, we have many kinds of relative clause. Okay, let's see the first type, or the first one. We have who or that, and we are going to use them for people. Okay, and we have whom, her, or that for object, and whose for possessor. And for things, we are going to use which or that. And for object, we are going to use which and that. And for possessor, we are going to use whose, of, or of which. Let's see number one. We have there in front of you her or that. We are going to use them for subject. Like, the man who robbed you has been arrested. So, who refers to the subject here. Example number two. The girls who serve in the shop are the owner's daughter. So we have who, and there, or it refers to the subject also. But that is a possible alternative after all, everybody, everyone, no one, nobody, and those. So we can use that as the alternative of who. Like, everyone who or that knew him liked him. So we can use that instead of who. Nobody who or that watched the match will ever forget it. So we used that and who. So as we said, who is normally used as a subject, and we can use that instead of it. Number B. We can use whom or who or that for object of a verb. Like, the objective form of is whom, but is considered very formal in spoken English. We normally use who or that. So we can use whom. That being more usual than who. And it's still more common to omit the object pronoun altogether. Like, the man whom I saw told me to come back today. Or, the man who I saw told me to come back today. Or, the man that I saw told me to come back today. Or the man I saw. In this case, we omitted or we dropped that or whom or who. So we used the man I saw told me to come back today. So we can use whom, who, or that for object of a verb. Point number C. With the preposition whom or that. In formal English, the preposition is placed before the relative pronoun, which must then be put into the form whom. So we are going to use whom instead of who or that. The man to whom I spoke. To whom. Okay, so we used whom instead of that, because we have a preposition here, to, which is to. In formal speech, however, it's more usual to move the preposition to the end of the clause. Whom then is often replaced by that, but it is still more common to omit the relative altogether. Like, the man who or whom I spoke to. So we can use who because we used the preposition at the end of the sentence. The man that I spoke to, okay, or the man I spoke to without the relative clause. Point number D. A possessor, we can use whose, which is the only possible form. Like, people whose rents have been raised can appeal. Example number 2. The film is about a spy whose wife betrayed him. So we are going to use whose as a possessor. In short answers, to make short answers, we use the verb to be, am, is, are, or was, were. For present simple, past simple, present progressive, past progressive, and going to questions. Like, we use the verb have and have, has, had to present perfect and the past perfect question. We will use well for future simple question. Okay. Defining relative clause things. A subject, we can use which, that, and which is more formal. This is the picture which or that cause such a sensation. So we use which or that. The stairs which or that lead to the cellar are rather slippery. So we can use either which or that. Number B, Object of a verb. We can use which or that or no relative at all. Like the car which or that I hired is broke down. Or the car I hired broke down. So in example number 2, we dropped the relative clause which is was, which or that. We can drop them. Which is hardly ever used after all, everything, little, much, none, nor, and the compound of nor or after superlative. Instead, we use that or omit the relative altogether. If it's the object of the verb, like all the apples that fall are eaten by the bees, or all the apples that fall. That. This is the best hotel that I know, or I know without the relative clause. We can use object of a preposition. The formal construction is the preposition plus which, but it's more usual to remove the preposition to the end of the clause, using which or that, or omitting the relative altogether. Like, the ladder on which I was standing began to slip. The ladder on which. Sorry, the preposition came before that, the relative clause which is which. The ladder which or that I was standing on began to slip. So the preposition we used it after the relative clause which was or which is which or that. Example number 3, the ladder I was standing on began to slip. So in this example we didn't use the relative clause at all. Point number D. The possessive we can use whose plus a clause is possible, but with a phrase is more usual, like a house whose walls were made of glass, or a house with a glass walls. So we dropped in example number 2, we dropped the relative clause which is whose. Point number E. Relative adverb when, where, why. Note that when can replace an in or on plus which, or used for time or time. The year when he was born, or the year in which he was born, so with a right. The day when they arrived, or the day in which they arrived. Where? We also can replace an in or at which used for a place or a place, like the hotel they were staying, or the hotel in or at which they were staying. Why can replace for which, okay? Like the reason why, and we're going to find that we used why because we are asking about the reason, okay? The reason why he refused is so and so. Whether, where, and why used in this way are called relative adverbs, okay? And you have non-defining relative clause. We are going to explain it later. And we have exercise, you have to answer it, okay? See you later.